Email, Blackberries, instant messages, Wi-Fi everywhere. The march of technology should be making great strides in worker productivity. But do you feel more productive or more harried? So we thought it would be interesting to sit down with the Tony Robbins of productivity. His name is David Allen, author of Getting Things Done. Our editor-at-large, Cory Johnson, spent a whole day with him and asked him how to use technology in a way that helps rather than hurts the modern knowledge worker.
Technology really, I mean, don't shoot the messenger here. Technology is kind of like the telephone. Does that help you be more organized? Depends on how you're using it. But different than the telephone, technology is creating as much frustration and overwhelm as it is solving people's either organizational or productivity problems.
As businesses have gotten more technology, productivity in the America has gone up, for example. Isn't that proof that we're more productive?
Well, as a company, you might be more productive. You're getting more output, but just go ask your people, how productive do they feel? And from my experience, most people are feeling more overwhelmed, more confused. They're frustrated with the technology. Stuff doesn't synchronize. There's a lot of promise about stuff in the clouds is going to help everything, and all it's done is, I walk into it, I walk desk side with people, and they're just toast.
So, when I read your book the first time, your book was initially written in 2001. You've written a couple since, but Getting Things Done is still kind of the Bible of organization, I think. And there's a lot in there about write it down, use a piece of paper, create a pile of paper, and then go through the pile.
Yeah, you just need to get it out of your head. The basic idea here, the primary principle is stop using your psyche or your mind as your system. It doesn't do that very well. So you need to externalize it, have an external system that keeps track of all your stuff. Your mind's not for remembering and reminding. So the technology can certainly help that. All you really need are lists so I can keep track of the stuff that I need to do instead of my head. But you could do that on a piece of paper, but you can also do it in technology. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do with it. The problem, though, is with technology, out of sight, out of mind, you dump it in there, and it's not in your face.
Interesting.
And you're very likely to then lose track of it.
It strikes me that there are sort of the two most dramatic changes in people's work in the last 10 years, has been the introduction of email, and that's 15 years, maybe it's 10, and then mobile, which is more recent. Have they helped us?
They've helped me. I've been on email since 1983. I had, EasyLink with Western Union and a Radio Shack Model 100 in 1983.
Have a crank on the side?
Almost, wind it up. But I couldn't live the life I lived without it. That's fabulous. Email is terrific. But again, the medium itself is neither good nor bad. It's just neutral. It has allowed people to be very distracted. And I think what it's done is...
More so? You mean they're more distracted because they've got more email, because they've got more mobile, because they've got to work?
They're getting it faster. They're having to respond faster without time to think. Everybody's getting CC'd on everything because everybody's sort of covering their self. I need to make sure everybody's, in touch with everything else. And, quite frankly, a lot of that is non-purposeful communication. So you can spew non-purposeful communication faster through the technology.
The CC everybody who might possibly be involved instead of someone who has to do something.
Right. I know one CEO who's actually does not permit any of his staff to CC him on anything. He said, if you want me to do something, you put me on the to line, you send it directly. So there are protocols that are showing up. The good news about all this overwhelm that everybody's experiencing, is it's forcing people to really make some good executive decisions about, wait a minute, where am I going? What's important? Why am I getting this email? And those are the great, good business questions everybody ought to be asking about everything. But the heat and the pressure have gone up tremendously simply because of access.
Really the downside of all this technology.
Yeah, and it's highly frustrating. People go, well, I'm using Outlook at work, but I'm using an Apple at home. How do I marry all these things? They don't synchronize. I'm trying to keep stuff in two places. So, in truth, sure, it's all really cool stuff, but there's as much frustration with it now as there is, wow, isn't this neat? This has really helped my life.
Now, I took your seminar yesterday, and the big takeaway for me was sort of the first takeaway when I first read the book years ago, was that when you have at the end of a meeting, what's the next decision? What has to happen next? Is it yours or is it mine?
Exactly.
Really changing an idea to a to-do.
Exactly. And the real issue here is thinking. You don't just shuffle things and move them here or there faster. And a whole lot of the technology improvement is simply sexier ways we can slice and dice static information. It doesn't tell you what you need to do with that information.
So, Cory, we're all hoping you learned how to be more productive at this seminar. Did you?
We'll see. I mean, it's really interesting stuff here about taking ideas and doing something with it. And the notion that technology doesn't really help us. It helps us get more information, but it doesn't help us turn that into something to do.
So it's going to be 6 drill downs tomorrow, right?
Exactly. Tomorrow I'll be doing drill. Yes, although, geez, there's no show tomorrow. Well, we'll see about Monday. Oh,
Monday,
no show on Monday. Monday I'll be doing drill downs too.
Tuesday, you got me.